Welcome back. I was talking about Brexit. I was talking about Wexit in Canada, how it shows that our political institutions are too bloated, too distant, too corrupt in order to be able to survive. They're going to die. They're going to collapse of their own bloated corruption, or we're going to reform them and make them something manageable. And nothing shows that better, I think, than what's going on in Brexit. But, of course, we can come up with any number of examples here in America, but I like to focus on these other ones. We have an international audience. However, most of our audience is American, and most people are hopelessly caught up in personalities of individuals, individual politicians, too partisan with their politics to be able to see this. So it's good to get a little bit of a distance here. So we're going to talk about what's going on in the UK and in Australia, and then talk about how this is applied here back home. Let's talk a little bit about the even bigger problem than Brexit in the UK, and that's Julian Assange. That's the problem that nobody wants to talk about. You know, they have one news channel that started advertising itself in the UK saying, we're going to be Brexit free. I know you're tired of hearing about Brexit, so we're not going to have any news at all about Brexit. And guess what? They don't have any news at all about Julian Assange. Never have. They always cover that up, don't they? And that's even a bigger problem, because there is a rapidly expanding, UK is a very good example of this. That's where all of this social justice, political correctness, this cultural Marxism that is the mask for authoritarian censorship, that's where this all began and started doubling down, was in the UK. And it has reached crazy levels there. But as I've pointed out many times, and you could see it very, very, very clearly with Tulsi Gabbard. I talked about it when they purged us. You know, we got a lot of people with millions of followers still left on social media and on YouTube who are conservatives, who come from a conservative perspective. Lots of big-name conservatives that are still on YouTube. Guess what they don't do? They don't talk about Julian Assange. They don't talk about the military-industrial complex. They don't talk about the surveillance state much, do they? If at all. No, if you talk about that, you get taken off. I said that when it happened to us in August, and I doubled down again when it happened 2 months later to over 800 news sites. I said, this is coming from the military-industrial complex. This is not an idea from some radical, quote-unquote, woke Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. I don't even like to use that term. To me, being woke means that you are aware, you're awake, you've taken the red pill. It doesn't mean that you're a social justice warrior. I hate that term woke, quite frankly, but it's a common usage out there. But this is not coming because of the politics of Zuckerberg. Now, his politics are power. That's all he cares about. And he will do whatever the people in power want him to do. And you can see it as he's starting to move to the right a little bit now, right? You give me access to this. What I really want is I want Libra out there. What can I do for you guys? Can I move to the right a little bit here on this? I mean, he's not going to do much, but he's not going to bring back the people who criticize the military-industrial complex. And when they took out 800 sites 2 months after they took out InfoWars and this program, I never had a single complaint filed against me on any of these social media platforms, never had a single complaint filed against me or notification from YouTube. I never got an explanation. For months, I tried to get an explanation from those SOBs, those dictators. They never gave me one. They don't follow their own rules. Why should they? I mean, they make the rules. If you make the rules, you don't have to follow the rules, right? That's the first rule of a tyrant. You, a dictator, the rules are in my mouth. I don't follow my rules. You follow my rules. That's YouTube. That's Google. And I said at the time, and I had people on from Free Thought Project and other places, they were shut down. They're not Trump supporters by any means. But they talked about the police state, the surveillance state. They talked about the military-industrial complex and our endless wars. And that, folks, is what gets you banned. That's why the people shut down Tulsi Gabbard. That's why Google made sure that if you were coming from a VPN inside the United States after her very powerful performance at the debates, they would hide her YouTube channel from you. If you had a VPN, which disguises where you're located, or if you were coming from outside the United States, you could still see it. But, they didn't want her getting any traction there. Why? Why? Her one issue that these people have a problem with is the military-industrial complex. And so they are going to shut that down. It's validation, as if I gave you documentation. I read you book, chapter, and verse from their testimony where you had the people from the military-industrial complex and elsewhere coming in and saying, we got to silence the cannons on social media. Got to shut that down. We got to censor these people. Got to do it right now. Social media is too dangerous if we don't silence these voices out there. What voices? The voices that are pushing back against the military-industrial complex. And no matter how ridiculous this latest we-bagged Baghdadi story is, just like the ridiculous story of Osama bin Laden being killed by Barack Obama, nobody in the mainstream corporate media is going to push back against that at all. Why? Because they don't ever contradict the military-industrial complex or the CIA. They always have to come off looking as heroes. No matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how many times they contradict themselves in the details, no matter how many times they tell us, we buried his body at sea, according to Islamic custom and blah, blah. Oh, we don't have any pictures of it. Oh, he's blown up in a million pieces, but we immediately identified him under the rubble. I mean, come on. Seriously. But nobody is going to call President. That's the beautiful thing about it. President Trump can come back and shut down their narrative about, you're weak on ISIS. Oh, look, we just killed the number 1 and 2 guys. Just like that. I just announced that they're dead. It's exactly like Wag the Dog. You take their seminal lie and you elaborate on it with your own lies and you shut it down. That's fine. Just understand what's going on here, okay? Just understand it. Actually, I tweeted out this morning, I was glad to see that Zero Hedge has picked up on that as well. Look, just stop the bullshit and bring the troops home, President Trump, okay? Let's just do that. The people are with you. I know Washington doesn't like it. I know the military-industrial complex doesn't like it. I know that this is a way to make them look like heroes, but they're still not going to support you. They're not going to support. No matter how, you could tell everybody that they assassinated Vladimir Putin, right? They still wouldn't support you. It's just, but let's talk about what's going on with Julian Assange. Because he told us the truth, they're going to kill him. That's the level that this has reached. I mean, we're not talking about people being shadow banned on social media. We're not talking about being depersoned on the internet, as they've done to Alex Jones and InfoWars and me. We're talking about somebody who is going to be killed because he told the truth. Told the truth. And I'm sympathetic to what's going on with President Trump in this impeachment process. It's a very dangerous thing. I don't like to see anybody denied their due process. And I cover a lot of cases that people don't like to talk about or don't talk about anymore. Marty Gottesfeld, Schaefer Cox. I almost said Francis Schaefer, but Schaefer Cox. Francis Schaefer, I think, was, anyway. I talk about Ross Ulbricht, Silk Road case. Let's talk about Roger Stone, too. Michael Flynn. And then President Trump. The Bundys, all these people railroaded by this criminal justice system. Yeah, that's what it is. It's criminal justice system. But when we talk about somebody that's actually going to be killed, like Julian Assange, because he told the truth, do you realize how dangerous this is? This is far bigger than impeachment. It's far bigger than Brexit. And the U.S. government is part of that as well. President Trump is part of it. Okay, so what's going on with Julian Assange? Roger Waters, the former frontman for Pink Floyd, has many times tried to draw public attention to it. As a matter of fact, back in September, along with John Pilger, an excellent journalist, both of them tried to get the press to pay attention because the press wasn't reporting it. Like I said earlier, you got one channel says, you're hearing about Brexit all the time. Here, we're going to do no Brexit news. I guess all of them could advertise, you don't want to hear about Julian Assange or a free press or the government murdering somebody, torturing somebody with having it in mind to murder them because they told you the truth about the crimes your governments, plural, are committing. You don't want to hear about that, right? We'll save you the trouble. So Roger Waters and John Pilger held a rally in front of the British Home Office back in September, but not a single British newspaper reported it. We reported it. We talked about it here. He's now coming out again. Headline on Zero Hedge: Roger Waters stunned at Assange's plight, as people are seeing his recent court appearance where he was obviously in such poor health, physical and mental health, he couldn't even recall his name. He couldn't even speak. And he said, what we have now is a combination of George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. I've said that many times. He said, yeah, they were both right. He said they were always arguing about who had the closest view of what the dystopian future might look like. I think we got a lot of both of them. We got Big Brother, we got Orwellian dystopian nightmare, said Roger Waters. That happened 2 days ago in the magistrate's court. Well, that's true. And, of course, we also have surveillance everywhere. Probably Great Britain is second only to China in terms of the concentration of surveillance cameras. And with a smaller population, they might actually be ahead of China in terms of surveillance. And, of course, we know what this is going to be used for, right? We see it happening already in China. It's the social credit system. That's what social media is for. Facebook is your DARPA lifelog, and you voluntarily did it. I showed you many times the slides that were exposed in the Snowden leak about what the NSA said about your iPhone. They bragged about how you are idiots. You're paying for Big Brother yourself. That was leaked presented in Germany. It was picked up by Der Spiegel. Not a single American corporate news media outlet talked about it. Not a single one. I've showed you those slides many times. It starts out, who would have thought in 1984, and they show the iconic 1984 Super Bowl commercial that introduced the Macintosh? Next slide. There you go, right there. Good, guys. The next slide shows Steve Jobs holding up an iPhone. Says, first this, who would have thought in 1984 that this would become Big Brother? Steve Jobs holds up his iPhone. And that the zombies would line up to pay for it. That's the way the NSA sees you. And now the current leadership of Apple Computer is, as you can see there, that one slide, I had, as we were number one, as InfoWars was number one in terms of apps, you had Tim Cook, who replaced Steve Jobs. Pulled us off, yeah. Doesn't matter what you, the public, wants to see. Doesn't matter what you vote for. The parliaments, the congresses will give you what they want. And their fascist partners with these multinational corporations will give you what they want, what they and their government partners want. And so, we've got surveillance everywhere. We got the social credit scores that are based on what you do on social media, the social credit scores that are based on their physical surveillance of you in physical space, because that's what's coming. That's what Sidewalk Labs is. Google is running Sidewalk Labs, which is an implementation of the UN 2030 Smart Cities. That's up there in Toronto. And some of the liberals who bought into that said, whoa, I thought this was about environmentalism. This is about surveillance. I'm out of here. Well, good luck on that, because Google and the government wants to have the kind of physical surveillance of you that they now have on the internet, that you've given them for free. And, of course, we have our speech being controlled by these people. So that's the Orwellian side. What is the Brave New World side? Well, Roger Waters says you only have to look at the street, and you can see people, the walking dead, he calls them, going by, taking absolutely no notice of the fact that this journalist is being murdered by our government. And it's by our government as well. The UK government is murdering Julian Assange at the insistence of our government. That would be the CIA. They really are our government here. The CIA wants him dead. The military-industrial complex, the people behind all of this censorship, the people who created the internet, the people who funded the multinational corporations with In-Q-Tel and these other venture capital boards that were populated with people from the intelligence community. Our rulers, our masters, our government, the CIA want him dead, and the British government is more than happy to comply. Roger Waters goes on to say, and we walk by with our earbuds in, clicking away on our iPhones as we walk, unthinking, unfeeling, uncaring throughout our lives, and we allow this BS to take place in our names and in our courts. That's right. That's right. That's exactly what's going on.
Our powerful line of fluoride-free products is the perfect gift for yourself or others who are exploring a healthier, happier lifestyle. With options ranging from toothpaste to oral spray, it's easy to find the perfect option for you. Super Blue Toothpaste is the fan-favorite fluoride-free toothpaste that every InfoWarrior loves. Powered by iodine and nano silver, it's designed to deliver a powerful clean while supporting good oral health and fresh breath. Available in 2 refreshing flavors. Enjoy a minty fresh flavor made with peppermint oil, or try our bubblegum flavor. Super Blue Immune Gargle is the only option for on-the-go immune system support like no other. With the scientifically proven patented ingredient Silver Sol in 3 different sizes, you can take it wherever you go. Support good oral health with our one-of-a-kind Super Blue products. Don't miss out on revolutionizing your morning routine. Head to InfoWarsStore.com and get our line of Super Blue products today.